I promise if we get started, you can get out early. Bill, you like that idea? I was blinded this morning because I looked at Odie's clothing, so I'm a little shell-shocked still. He's not one of them yet. I am jealous. I need a white belt so I can look like Rodney Dangerfield. Could be. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna talk about the missions ministry that we have here at the Naples Church. Next week, Lord willing, Dave Hogan from the Mount Dora Children's Home will be here to speak to you during class. He was actually supposed to be here today, but he was under the weather, and he called me on Friday, and said that he would not be able to be here, and we thanked him for not wanting to get all of us sick, so that was fine. But he will be here to talk more about the Mount Dora Children's Home and how we support them and the great work that they do. So I won't really talk a lot about that today, other than to say, in reviewing the slides that he sent ahead of time and the paperwork that he sent, it really is the Lord's work that's going on there. They are making great impacts to the community, and he'll tell you more about that, but it's not just about children. They also support single parents, male and female, that are searching for something that needs support. And so they help to educate, they help to provide for these families that are in need, and really to just show the love of Christ in their lives. So it's a fabulous work. So a couple of years ago, I was asked to be the deacon over the missions here at Naples Church of Christ. And what I find, and even for me when I was asked to do it, is I knew we had missions. I knew that we supported missionaries. You can see them on the back of the bulletin every week, the missionaries that we support in Ghana, the missionaries that we support here in the United States. We have a couple of missionaries in Spanish-speaking communities over in the Miami area. The Spanish congregation that meets here this afternoon, technically that is also a mission. We support them not only through some financial help for the minister, but also the use of this building, the use of the facilities here so that they have a place to worship, to come together and worship. So that's a mission that we do as well. So when I entered the missionary position here, or the mission deaconship of the missions, it would really surprise me how much work was going on. And I wish John Wallace was here, because John is literally, I would say, my right-hand man, but he's more like two hands and a leg. And I sort of just stand with one leg on my own, and he does a lot of the rest of the work. So if John's listening or watching me, I don't know if we're broadcasting this or not, but if John's out there listening, John, you may have seen in the bulletin, is in Kentucky. His dad's not doing real well. He's in hospice, so we're gonna. I'll at the end we'll offer a prayer for John as well. But John is absolutely amazing in the work that he does in our ministry in Ghana, in our support of the Ghana ministry, and has been for many, many years. And if you've heard me talk about this before, you may remember me talking about the fact that in the past, John did a lot of the fundraising and a lot of the going over there on his own. This congregation supported in many ways. We do, we do raisins for Ghana, and you've heard that story maybe from John, that over there's very little refrigeration, and so you can't just have your Welch's grape juice in the refrigerator ready to go. So getting those type of supplies is very, very important. So what we do is we send them raisins, Sunmade or whatever brand, raisins, and they actually will reconstitute those raisins, because we all know that's where grape juice comes from. It's from grapes, which become raisins. And they will reconstitute the fluid and plump those back up and then squeeze them many times over in order to have communion. So it may sound like a very simple thing, but it's a need that they have, and we fill that need. So when you see us in the fall doing the raisins for Ghana, that donation, please participate in that. We also send dresses made from pillowcases, which I wouldn't know how to do that, but lots of the ladies and maybe some of the guys, have participated in that. And you've seen the pictures that John has shown where the little girls over there in Ghana, their smiles are just amazing when they get their new dress, and they think it's such a wonderful thing for them to have. And then they pass those down to the littler ones as they go along. So imagine what a pillowcase can do in the work of the Lord. And when you think about that, it's truly amazing. And so, not to steal any of John's thunder either, but I always like to talk about him because he is just such a giving person and does such a phenomenal job. We support, I didn't bring my notes with me, but I want to say it's 8 or 9 missionaries that are in Ghana. We support them on a monthly basis. And one of the other things that John does is John takes care of making sure that they actually get paid, that they actually get the support that we have. As you can imagine, in the world of identity theft and the world of fraud and the world of everybody taking a bribe, sending money to missionaries in Ghana might not always be as easy as you think it is to make sure that they actually get their money. Not only that, but many of these individuals are not in places where they can go to the local post office or to a bank. And so we have, working with John and myself, we've put together a way for them to electronically receive the money on their phones. Over there, cash apps like Venmo or PayPal or things like that. There are international ones that are secure. We researched that, but they use those. And John facilitates that. And what we also have found is that the exchange rate that we've been able to get for the dollars that go over there has actually increased by using this app. And so the money that we send has actually gotten better, or more money when it translates over to the Ghanese. I don't even know what the name of the currency is. So John takes care of a lot of that information, and he's constantly in touch with our missionaries over there who are doing phenomenal work. And if you ever have a question about wanting to know what's happening in Ghana or wanting to see pictures, I know John posts some of the pictures on his own personal Facebook page, but he's always willing to talk to folks about what's happening over there, in Ghana. And I would say that that's probably the largest mission that this congregation supports is our work in Ghana. And you've all heard Barry talk about in the past where we had large groups of individuals that went over to Ghana. And that certainly is something, if individuals are interested in that again, that we can do that. Last year, Tim went with John Wallace over to Ghana and preached. You heard talking about that. And Gene Isidore, our brother in the back there, he went to Ghana on his own and saw some of the good work that's being done over there as well. So there are opportunities to do that. And obviously, if that's something that large groups wanted to do, again, we certainly could explore that. Some of the missions work that we do is also based here at home, and that's one of the things that I wanted to concentrate on. It's been sort of I don't want to use the word mission a lot, but it's sort of been a mission of mine in that it's actually easier, right, to go overseas to people who are struggling to even live day to day and survive, and they're looking for something. They're looking for hope. They're looking for a path. They're looking for God. They're looking for truth in their lives. And so when we go over there and talk about Jesus and talk about that and provide for them dresses and food and medicines and helping with the buildings, it's somewhat of an easier sell. Now, there's competition, right? And we don't want to always talk about like it's a competitive thing, but we're saving souls. And over in Africa, there's also a huge Muslim push by the Muslim church to change people and create followers of Allah over there. So that we're battling against those things as well. But it's actually easier to do mission work overseas where people don't have anything. It is far more difficult to have mission work here in the United States. Why? We don't need anything. I mean, let's be honest. The poorest of the poor in the United States, through government services, through social services, through charities, still lives better than the majority of the world. And we forget about that. So it's actually really hard to do mission work in the United States because people don't think they need Jesus. I got everything. I got a job. I got a car. I got a credit card. I got a good life. I'm a good person. So why do I need Jesus? I got everything I need. And so it's harder to explain to folks why. We know why, but it is harder to do that. So one of the things that I wanted to do is also to enhance our mission work here in the United States. And to that end, each one of you here is a missionary. Every time you get out of bed in the morning, I was going to say every time you walk out those doors, but it's more than that. It's every time you get up out of bed in the morning, you have an opportunity to spread the word and the gospel of Jesus Christ. Whether that's living your life in a way that people look at you and go, yeah, Tom's kind of a weird guy, but he seems happy all the time. I wonder why that is. And I'm given the opportunity to explain to them why that is. Or whether it's going to your office where you work or your location where you work, and instead of someone asking you, how's your day going, and you saying, yeah, I'm fine, I'm not having such a great day, whatever, you say, you know what, I'm having a great day. It's a blessed day. And that sometimes will open up a conversation. We support ministers here in Florida that are doing work in, as I said, Coral Gables in the Miami area, the Mount Dora Children's Home, which you're going to hear more about next week. And those places are doing great work, and we continue to support them, and you support them through your giving here in the congregation. But we also want to do more. We want to do more here in Naples. We want to do more here in the surrounding areas. You've heard the stories. We've talked about it over and over again. You know, when Irma hit and this congregation came together here, and we had supplies stacked up over here, and we were helping the community. And then for weeks afterwards, individuals were taking supplies and going to Chokoloskee and to Immokalee and to all the areas around, and we're taking care of people's needs. We need to do that more. We need to come together and do that kind of work as opportunity presents itself. There's needs every day. We have a food bank here. That's part of our mission work. We have the opportunity to help people if they're in need of food. They come here to the building. Kathleen has access to the food, or if you know somebody that needs food. When Scott goes out and visits with our shut-ins and people that are not showing up here, and so we're wondering what's going on with them. He's found that one of the best ways to engage is to take a bag of groceries with them, and they go in. Yes, Danny? So the questions were, what can I tell you about the Spanish congregation that meets here? And the second question is one I can't answer, which is there a Church of Christ in Immokalee? So does anybody know the answer to the second question? Yes, you know the answer, or yes, there's a church? Yes, there's a church in Immokalee. What I can tell you about the Spanish congregation that meets here is that they meet here. We support Roberto Escobar Sr., who is the minister for the group that's here. They meet here, I think it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon every Sunday. Some of the members that we have worshiping with us in the morning, like Marvin, thank you. I was going to say Mauricio, but it's Marvin. They worship in both situations. They go back and forth. And they have a very similar worship service that we do here. They sing songs of praise, there's prayers, they have communion. It is a Church of Christ that is meeting here in Spanish. I don't know how many members there are. It fluctuates. It's a very small group, yeah. I don't have an actual number count. Scott, do you know?
It just might be worth noting that they are autonomous from us, and
right.
We strictly support their preacher, and so there's no oversight on our part, and they have their own leadership.
Yeah, that's a great point. So they're not under the eldership of this congregation. They are a separate church, as most Church of Christs are. and separate entity for them. So.
We also have some of the Spanish members go over to Immokalee and preach for them too. So.
I think that's the key, right? I mean, that's what I was talking about, is that each one of us has an opportunity to do mission work, to spread the gospel. And there are just surprising ways to do that. I mean, Marvin talks about it in our deacons and ministry leaders meetings all the time, that he wants to get together with groups and go visit other congregations. Go visit the Immokalee congregation, go visit congregations in Miami or places like that. So, there are opportunities to do those things, and I think it's always important. This is a congregation of people who travel. I mean, there's obviously we see what happens when summer comes. People leave, including myself, and so we travel. We go to other congregations and we see those things. But there are individuals who around Florida may not have that same ability, and so when we go to visit their congregations, they're seeing new things, get new ideas, be invigorated by others, be edified by what's going on. And so he's always talking about wanting to do that. So I would encourage, if anybody has that desire, he's certainly more than willing to get groups together and go visit other congregations as well. The work that we do here is really, really important. I can't emphasize enough, and we could all get up and tell stories about how we became Christians. Some of us grew up in the church, some of us didn't. Some of us grew up in other forms of religion and then found the truth. Barry talks about how this congregation, when he was searching, supported his family and brought food when there was troubles with his family. And a lot of times that's what it is. That's what mission work is. It's not necessarily just writing a check so other people can go spread the gospel. It's important. We need to do that. But it's really more about how we interact with the people around us and how they see Jesus in us. Lyle used to say all the time that we want to smell like Jesus. And that's really the truth, right? We want people to see Jesus in us. We want them to see the goodness of us and our actions and our contributions to them, whether it's helping them, mow a yard because they've got somebody that's laid up, whether it's providing a bag of groceries, whether it's a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes it doesn't matter what it is, but reaching out, inviting people to come in here, not only for Sunday morning worship, but also to have Bible studies with them. We are so blessed to have, Russ when he's here during the winter months. I think the man gets up and has a Bible study probably in his kitchen before he goes out for the day. He's constantly reaching out to people and bringing them in. Fran probably gets tired of it, but bringing them in, for Bible study. And how many baptisms have we had since Russ has been here? There's a number, I'm sure. I can't count. It's more than 10. I guarantee it's more than 10 that we've had just in the year that he's been here. So there's lots of opportunities for that. What I want to finish with, and unless there's other questions, I don't know if there are any other questions, and I'm always available to answer those questions. Yes, Shelley.
I also have two. One point is, a few years back,
I'm sorry.
several years ago, we had occasionally a combined service, in Spanish and English, and the songs in Spanish. It was just really, I think it's a real good way to kind of get to know other people.
Yeah, I love that too. I speak a little bit of Spanish. My mother's side of the family is from South America, so I can get by. So I really loved singing in Spanish and being able to do that. I think that's a wonderful idea. And so Marvin and Alan are the deacons in charge of worship, and they certainly could do that. I know Marvin would love to do that. So I'll follow up with them, Susan. Good. But you can as well, obviously. And I think those combined services are just a wonderful opportunity.
The other thing, I was wondering if the jail ministry is still continuing. I never hear anything about it, and I never see Bob and Jan.
The guy behind you probably has a better answer than I do.
After COVID, it kind of dispersed, and I guess there's hardly anybody in there now. They only let like one or two groups. They didn't let us right back in, and we're still kind of trying to work on that. But so that's kind of out so far. But as far as the together congregation, probably at the summertime would be a real good time we have plenty of room to maybe do something like that.
Yeah, I think those are great. Absolutely. There's just, I mean, that's the bottom line, is that there's opportunities, and one of the things we talk about with the leadership and the ministries leaders and the deacons is those are just titles because we need to have people that do stuff, but it's up to each one of us. Don't wait for me to go do something with missions. If there's something that you think would be a great mission work, do it. When you see a need, fill the need. If you need funds to go do it, talk to me. We've got budget for those type of things. And so we will make it happen if it's something that you feel passionate about. And I know every other ministry leader and deacon would say the same thing. If you have an idea for worship, if you have an idea for social media ministry, which by the way has been going great. It's so wonderful to see things on Instagram and on Facebook all the time now. Every day there's something from the Naples Church that's there. Whatever it is, it's there for us to take over as well. And I will tell one little story about our mission work, because everything that we do is a mission, as well as the daycare, the pre-K preschool behind us. So I don't want to forget about that. That is a mission work here as well. It is a wonderful mission work. Imagine the children that we are able to interact with and teach them about Jesus and who Jesus is. We've had a number of teachers that have started worshiping with us here. We've had some families from there that have worshiped with us in the past, the Peregrine family who moved up to LaBelle, but they started here. There's opportunity there. And the events that we even do around Livingston Academy, some of the things that we do, like Touch a Truck. And Touch a Truck is a pretty cool event. If you haven't been here for Touch a Truck, we bring all kinds of trucks, obviously, and you get to touch them. But it's police and fire and garbage trucks and huge construction vehicles and you name it. There's a great event, brings the community in. And sometimes we wonder to ourselves, it's a lot of work to put this on. There's a lot of people that volunteer here. There's a lot of organization that Diane and Scott Odie have been doing, and others, to reach out to the organizations that bring the trucks and things like that. And we sometimes wonder, is it really making a difference? So here's a quick story, and then we'll end. A couple weeks ago, Elena and I went to have dinner with some friends of ours. And it was a wonderful dinner. We were enjoying each other's company, and we're just getting to know these folks. They're great people, but we haven't had dinner one-on-one with them yet. And we were just discussing things, and as it happens, we talked about where we are on Sundays and an opportunity to talk about Jesus and so forth. And they're like, Naples Church of Christ, where is that? And we're like, oh, it's right on Livingston, right down. Oh, yeah, we lived, and I can't remember the name of the neighborhood that's right next door. But they lived here, and they would bring their grandkids and their kids, and they would come to Touch a Truck. So you never know what it's going to be. You never know who's going to walk through Touch a Truck, or the Easter festival that we have, or the Christmas pageant that we do, or whatever it is, whatever we are doing for the community, that's mission work, and it touches people. And it may not be instantaneously we have 500 baptisms that next Sunday. But someday, down the road, you will be amazed at what that work has done. And then as we always say, we just plant the seeds and water, and God has to give the increase. Anything else? Christmas dinner? Christmas dinner is always a ministry because it's really good food, isn't it, Robert? Yeah.
Tom, I just think it's funny because sometimes it's delayed. A lot of people would always ask, well, where's the fruit from the Touch a Truck or from the school in the back? And it took a couple years, but there are quite a few teachers that have become Christians. And a lot of kids, of course, their minds have been programmed to become Christians later. But also the Touch a Truck, it took a couple years, but you'll see the lady in the back with the dog, her mom and sister, so 3 souls there. So there's a lot of fruit that's being collected. It might be delayed, but we're planting seeds. As you said, you just met a couple that know about the Touch a Truck. So, you know, it's a seed planting thing, and timing is everything. But if we're not out there planting seeds, we have no chance.
Thank you, Barry. Absolutely. All right, let's bow our heads in prayer. Father, we are just so humbled by the grace that you show us, the fact that we get to live in the greatest country on earth, the fact that we can come together and worship you without fear of being persecuted by the government, by being shut down, by being thrown in prison. We don't have to worry about that in the United States. Lord, we pray that we never have to worry about that in the United States. We thank you so much for all of our men and women in the military, both serving here and abroad, especially this weekend, those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. We also pray for our men and women in law enforcement, EMS, fire, all those who run towards danger when the rest of us want to run away from it. Be with them, protect them, give them the courage and the safety in their jobs that they do. Lord, we ask a special prayer for John Wallace and his family and his dad. We know that the end of life, as was brought to us this morning with words about our last words, we know the end of life is one of those periods where the last words mean a lot, where opportunities to mend old wrongs, to grant forgiveness, to do the things that we need to do to make sure that our relationships are in a good place at those very, very stressful times. We pray that you're with John and his dad, and that their needs are seen to, and that they have time to be together. And Lord, we just are so thankful for John, who is such a great worker in your garden, that he spreads the gospel everywhere he goes and in everything that he does. And Lord, be with us as we leave this place. Grant us safety as we travel. Bring us back at the next appointed time. And Lord, be with all those that are in need this week and every week. We know that we have everlasting life with you, and we're just so thankful for our opportunities to spread your gospel in everything that we do. It's in Jesus'